What are the consequences of ignoring the early red flags of lying and infidelity? Well, throughout this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how a relationship built on this foundation will rise and fall. I have a case study to share with all of you today from a 37-year-old man, and he was with this woman who's 30 years old. They've been together since 2018, and they split now in 2024. I mean, the cheating that this woman has done is on a different level. I know I've done many case studies on the channel over the years, but this one really puts like a nail in the coffin. This really shows how when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And the early warning signs of immoral behavior, that someone isn't right for you, is always going to be there at the beginning. You just have to have the courage to walk away before you get pulled in emotionally, and then it's too late. Next thing you know, you wake up, you have a kid together like this guy did, and your life is ruined. So for those watching, pay close attention to this video, and if you're young, this could even prevent you from going through something that he did. Let's break down his email, see everything that happened, and take out the lessons that we can. With that said, let's get right into it. And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Christian, and I teach men to master relationships righteously, prepare for marriage, and teach them how to find the right woman so that they never have to go through something like this guy did. Now, in his case study, he gave me permission to use his real name, but I'm going to just keep it private and refer to him as Jimmy and refer to the girl as Jessica. So let's start with some background information on them. So he said, we knew each other from college, but on my birthday, she sent me a message out of the blue on Facebook, and this is back in 2018, and asked if I'd like to go for a drink. Now remember, guys, it's very rare for a woman to be very forward and extend an invitation. Feminine women rarely do that. That's first of all, right? But there are exceptions. 1 week later, we met up and everything went from there. We slept together the first time we met. Perhaps a red flag there, he said. Yeah, on her end and on your end. If she's willing to sleep with you right away, she's willing to sleep with anyone right away. And she's obviously done that multiple times beforehand. Remember what I just said? Feminine women are not the ones to really reach out and initiate. They kind of put themselves in your orbit and want you to be the man and make those decisions. So she's obviously not a very feminine woman, given by the fact that she's putting herself out there and she's also giving it up to you right away, which she's been deflowered many times before. And at the start, we were very passionate and all over each other, he says. We couldn't be open about a relationship at first. I wonder why. She's got something to hide. In March 2018, I suspected something wasn't right. And then by June 2018, she dumped me. I found that she had been seeing someone else since March. But she started seeing me again in the summer, but had not actually left that guy as she claimed she originally had. So she's lying, she's cheating, she's having sex with you right away. Disqualified as wife material, like absolutely disqualified. But then I took her out on a date and she said she needed to be home for midnight. We planned to go away in my camper van. So at midnight, I took her home, and that night I couldn't really sleep well or settle. So at 1 a.m, I drove back to her place, knocked on the door, and a strange man opened the door and said, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Jessica's boyfriend. Who are you?" He said, "I'm also her boyfriend." So not only is she a cheater and a liar and someone who's promiscuous, but she's playing two different men at once. As you guys can see, and as I claim all the time in my videos, the red flags are always there at the beginning. Which is why when I get emails of guys that have been with a chick for 5 years, 10 years, even for women when they email me, you've been with this person for multiple years, you have 3 kids together, a home, a mortgage, a loan, you name it, and you get cheated on, or there's serious red flags with this person, or they're just not that into you, it goes back to the very beginning. How you start is how you finish. No one can ever say to me that red flags suddenly magically popped up 5 years into the marriage. It doesn't work that way. The red flags are always going to be there at the beginning. It's only you turning your blind eye with your lust or a knowledge gap. And once you get to a certain age, the knowledge gap kind of loses its excuse because you've had life experience. You hear stories from other people who've had miserable relationships. You've learned from your own errors, right? You just use your intuition. You can sense something, so often you see it. So the reality is, most people with their low self-esteem willingly sweep the crap under the rug. And then when their relationship fails or these things pop up, then they turn around and say, the opposite sex is the problem, or, oh, marriage doesn't work, relationships don't work. Wrong. They do work. Most people are going about it the wrong way. And this case study is no different than any other. The red flags are right there at the beginning. As you guys can see, I've just given you the background information. He started going out with her, sleeps with her right away. Something's not right. She's lying to him. She's talking to another guy, and then she told him she wasn't telling him the truth. He gets back with her, then she's got another boyfriend. But then he goes ahead, obviously later on, as you're going to see, carries on with her, gives her another chance, has a family with her. Do you see how guys ruin their lives? No one put a gun to his head. No one forced him into an arranged marriage. This is your free will, you making bad life decisions. I know he's watching the video and it's going to be tough for him to hear, but that's the truth. Don't paint yourself here as a victim. It's not like you were blindfolded, didn't know anything about her, and she kept a double life and you found out later on. You knew this about her from the beginning. This is when you should have walked away, but you didn't. Instead, we continue on. And also for those of you watching, really listen to what I'm saying, because I'm not in the business of fixing people's problems in relationships. I'm in the business of preventing people from having these problems from ever happening in their relationship life. Because when you find the right person and there's genuine desire, you have shared values and there are no red flags, this never happens. It just doesn't. And when this happens and you get cheated on, or there's serious character flaws in a woman you have chosen, or for the women listening, for the man you have chosen, and you choose to continue dating them and maybe get married or have kids, you shoot yourself in the foot. And now they're going to haunt you for the rest of your life. That is why I am so serious about telling you all, be very careful of who you allow into your life. And it's in the selecting and the vetting process where the magic happens, where you have to determine you trust them or you don't. Okay? Most relationships that end badly is because they start like this. People need to start being honest with themselves. Continuing on with the case study. So Jimmy said, that was it. I left her again and I blocked her. And that's where we should have had a happy ending. But instead, October of 2018, the same year, she contacted me in a real mess at the bottom of a downward spiral. In other words, she carried on living the lifestyle that she did. Whatever quality of men she was dealing with, if she really liked them, didn't want to commit to her because they know she's not wife material, or the crap quality of men she's dealing with and couldn't deceive were just as bad as her, and she doesn't want to be honest with herself and doesn't want to deal with a man like that. So instead she thinks, what's my best option here? Instead of humbling myself, learning, fixing myself, being a better woman, I have a better idea. Let me go back to the one guy who kept taking me back. He was kind of sweet. He's good to settle with. And now that's you. I say it all the time. You either marry right or you marry wrong. She either settles for you or you're her dream man. You either marry a woman you absolutely love and trust, or you end up with a woman who you don't think is really right for you. There is no in between. Black and white. You can make more money in your business, gentlemen. You can start a new career. You can start a new business. You can invest. There's many options nowadays. There's a lot of information out there. There's lifestyle choices that you can build and grow from. But being with the wrong person carries a string of consequences that can have a ripple effect throughout the rest of your life. Consequences that you can't escape from, as you're about to see. So again, we ended up getting back together and she did everything she could to build my trust. So in other words, he felt sorry for her, listened to her lies, and thought, okay, I'll give her a chance. I'll play Mr. White Knight. I'll fix her. I'll save her. My doubts faded and I believed that true love blossomed. We moved out of the city to a lovely house in the country. And that sounds wonderful if you're with the right woman. So we had each other's back, everything was stronger, and we built a home and a family together. We ran my business together. She changed. She became a decent, lovely person. She did a teaching qualification, and I supported her through this, helping her with assignments. I'm a lecturer, so I was a good help here. Wonderful. I paid for most things, but I was on a lot higher wage than her, so I accepted this and still believe this is fair. Okay, so you're taking care of her and such. You're fulfilling your role to a degree, which is fine. But again, people very seldom change. And this woman that you're dealing with revealed who she was at the beginning. She settled for you. She's playing her cards right. But when you get someone that settles for you, they're always going to think the grass is greener. You could be the wealthiest man in the world. You could be the most handsome man in the world. But if she doesn't think that you're the right man for her, and she doesn't value love, integrity, monogamy, she's always going to be peeking over the fence. Did I miss out? Is there something better out there for me? Whereas if you're the right guy for her, she's happy to be with you. She's watering her own garden, which would be the both of you. But sooner or later, when someone settles for you, they stop looking at their grass. They start looking at the neighbour's lawn. In fact, they start going through the whole catalogue, looking across the community, the town. They start venturing further and further out. There's got to be hidden treasure somewhere else. And that's what happens when someone settles for you. Always goes that way. So you claim she changed? Or did she just put on a mask? For a time, in 2020 to 2021, it was Jessica, me, her daughter from a previous relationship, and then our son, which was born 2021. We were all against the world. That is wonderful. You both had a child together, you've had a son, and children are a blessing. They have no part and no say in the dysfunctional relationship you have, but obviously you both aren't married, so I would go as far as saying you're not a Christian, so you don't have faith. So typical modern relationship, you have a kid, but you're not married. And it's interesting because when the Bible says don't have sex before marriage, God's saying that to protect you. Let's say you never had sex with her and you actually vetted her from a clear and sound mind, no lust involved. It would have never gone this far. Your judgment would have never been clouded. You would have never had a son with her. And you could have moved on and found someone else. And not just that, she has a kid. She has a daughter with a different man. And you know her history. Promiscuous, lying, and cheating. Obviously, she chose the wrong guy. Whether he was abusive to her, whether you know the truth, because you haven't specified here in the email about that guy or not. She's a single mum for a reason. Not all single mothers are bad. Some are widows. Some married the wrong guy when they were young and they're wonderful people. But looking at her subjectively, we know she's a problem. And her lifestyle choices aren't good. She has a daughter with a different man. You knew she had a daughter on top of everything else. You never play stepdad unless you have kids of your own. It is, if you want to start your own family with someone, start from scratch with a woman who's also single and childless like you. I never recommend guys to play stepdad. I wouldn't even recommend a young girl to play stepdad to a man who had kids with a different woman if she doesn't have her own. It's just not fair. And then your life becomes intertwined. You develop affinity towards their child and want to give him a chance. It's all a mess. This stuff really should never be happening. But again, I always see this with guys that have very poor standards for themselves. Oh, she has kids with a different guy. I'll save her. It is not worth it. That's just my 2 cents. And for the people listening, that is another red flag there. So again, continuing on with the email, Jimmy claims that he's never been happier than this whole time in his life. We were big winners during COVID, lovely house in the countryside. Everything was lovely as a family, having picnics in the garden. It was just one big holiday, and also running the family business. However, we knew it wasn't going to last because Jessica used to say all the time that I'm really going to struggle when we go back to work. I reassured her that my feelings wouldn't change. When COVID ended, the business picked up in a really big way, and I was away most weekends working. She was left all alone with the children and felt lonely and depressed. Why? If she loved you and she trusted you and she knows that you're working with good intentions for the family, for the good of the family, she'd be happy. Because she knows that you're out there working for both of you and the kids. But instead, we know she's a person who's unfaithful, doesn't love you, doesn't trust you because she can't trust herself. It's a reflection of who she is. She's away from you. She's probably thinking you're off with other women. That's how she justifies it in her mind. People steal because they justify in their minds other people are just like them. And because other people steal, I'll be the first one to do it. That's how what cheaters think. Everybody cheats at some point. I might as well do it too. Because you can't trust anyone. If you can't trust anyone, it's a reflection of you. Because the reality is there's good ones and bad ones. There are some you trust and there are some you don't. But in her head, we know she's already a cheater. Now she's left to her own devices. You're not home. She's miserable. She obviously settled for you. She's going to begin to look outside to see what other eye candy she can get. And if she was truly a feminine, nurturing woman, she'd be taking care of her daughter and your son. And she'd be happy to be home taking care of the kids, and she'd enjoy her time with them. And she'd be missing you. She'd be excited to see you again. Your absence would make her heart grow fonder for you. That's what happens when she loves you. Not this woman, though. I offered to sell the business to spend more time with her, but she always said, no, you will only resent me in time for that. She's predicting the future because she knows about her intentions. She's never really going to stay. You were the fallback guy. You were basically the break glass in case of emergency when things hit the fan in 2018 with whoever she was dealing with. You came along, you were a good cushion for her daughter. You were playing the good stepdad role. Whatever, has a kid with you so she secures herself with you if things need be. And things kind of settled down during COVID. You guys have to be together. But now you're away, you're working. Now she's starting to think about the life she could have had. Because she settled for you. That's reality. So don't get into your head that all women are bad. They're not. There are good women and there are bad women. She ain't one of the good ones, mate. She's one of the bad ones. It's sad to say, but that is the reality. I can tell it to you objectively because I've had hundreds of emails like this over the last few years. It ain't anything different for me to see. Point blank period, this woman was never suitable to be a good wife. She's not right with God. She lives a very immoral lifestyle. And that stuff stays in your head. That affects input-output. And look how she's been treating you. You tried to trust her fully, but we both know you don't. You're doing all that work, building a big business to take care of your family, and that's the thanks that you get, that she's so depressed being at home. Most women that have to work, if they had a good man that they loved and respected, who made enough money so that she could be home with the kids, they would be so grateful for you. They would be so happy. In September 2022, I caught her lying to me about going away for a conference with work. She bought me a shirt while she was away at work and told me it was from a TK Maxx shop, Cambridge. Well, actually, it was from a shop in Sheffield. For my American followers, these are places in the UK. I needed the receipt to take it back because it was too big for me. I asked why she had lied, and she had assured me that she just needed space and had gone to stay at a friend's house. Why would she need space when she has 2 children and a man in her life? I know you guys aren't married, but you're the man, right? I wasn't sure and accused her of cheating. She said that I was paranoid and that there was no one else. A week later, she fell asleep putting her son to bed. Her phone fell out of her pocket on the bed. When I went to wake her up to see if she wanted to watch TV, I saw a message on her phone that said, "I love you too, XXX." That's a very English way of saying like kisses, right? With XXX. I love you too, XXX. So I confronted her about this, and she said it was just her being silly with a mate. So what sort of male friend? She shouldn't have male friends anyway because she's with you, but what sort of male friend tells a woman, "I love you too"? I confronted her and she said, "No, I was just being silly, goofy." And when she finally let me look at her phone, she deleted all the message with this guy. But she assured me it only started a week earlier. But within this week, there were various messages where they said they loved each other. I pushed her and she finally, after many lies, admitted that it had been going on for 5 months. But only texting, she admitted. She admitted it's only texting and that they never met up in person. So that makes it fine somehow? Of course it doesn't. See what I mean? You had a kid with her. You probably thought, yeah, if she's pregnant, goes through childbirth and has a baby with me, she'll be loyal to me. And she's still a cheater. She's my wife material or she's not. And having 3 kids and having a beautiful country home house isn't going to make an immoral woman be a good woman to you. It's her choice. It's her heart that isn't right. It's her values that are not right. You're obviously a sweet guy and you've tried to do the best. I can see that. You value loyalty. I value loyalty. Most normal people do. The woman you're with doesn't. Jessica doesn't, mate. Now she's lying to you again, just as she did at the beginning, when you should have walked away, when you blocked her and walked away. 2018. Look at 2022. You have a son together. You take care of her daughter. And this is the thanks you get. She's texting another guy that she loves him. But it's just texting though, right? But this also proved to be untrue. Later that week, a friend told me everything, that they actually went on holiday together in 2022 when I was away working. She said that she cheated because she was lonely and felt unwanted by me when I was working, building up the business. That is a load of crock. She just doesn't love you. A cheater's always going to find a way to cheat. She found her reason. This is who she's always been. This is who she will always be. We tried to rebuild trust. You can't. But it never fully came back to me. She claimed she wasn't happy from this point onwards, and I could not fully trust her again. And after this, she blamed my lack of trust in her for ruining the relationship. Oh, she doesn't even take accountability. Several times she asked me to marry her or asked when I would marry her. And I was going to, but I stopped myself when I found out she's been cheating in 2022. Well, you did things in reverse, having kids before marriage, but at least you never married her, right? At least you knew enough not to do that. And naturally, you stopped yourself because you found out she was cheating, even though she still claimed that she never met up with him. She lied to your face. Since 2022, we haven't even been on a date, just the 2 of us, so no quality time, no one-on-one. We just grabbed the occasional meal we could together, but she needed more attention than that. And recently, we had not been very intimate often. Back in 2021, when our son was born, I was always tired and I did a full-time job. And I did most of the wake-up calls in the night, and she genuinely slept through our own child crying. Well, again, she's not a nurturing feminine woman. She isn't. She's probably neglected her other daughter, and she's neglecting your own son. That's who she is. And I did resent her for this, as I was always so tired. As our son grew more, I made him go into our bed more, blah, blah, blah. This pushed us further apart. We both made half-hearted attempts to patch up our relationship. I think this was because we're busy people with our own full-time jobs and businesses and a young family. Quality time is restricted to a few hours on an evening on the sofa watching a film. Even then, she'd always be on her phone, texting who knows who. But again, these are all, it doesn't matter how busy you are. If you love each other, you make the time. Because when you love each other and you get with someone that you absolutely adore, you appreciate the little things. And that's your life. Your life is when you get home from work and you sit down, hey baby, how's your day? And you actually have that time. That's your life. You have to make the most of that and find a way to spend quality time. But naturally, you're with the wrong woman, so it doesn't really matter in your case. For those of you watching, understand, you always romance and court your woman. But if you're with a cheater, you walk away. In December, so this last Christmas, 2023, she looked me dead in the eyes and said, if you do not propose to me in 2024, I will leave you and find someone else who will. She's good at making those threats. I thought, she can't be serious. Surely if you love someone, you wouldn't just leave for someone else. Look, you should have left her in 2018. She's cheating on you to your face. There's a weird text with a guy saying she loves him. She's saying, I love you back. And you still stayed. So I brushed it off as a silly remark, and we also tried to have another baby. It's a stupid mistake. However, this wasn't productive as we were both too tired from work and family. Good, thank goodness that didn't happen. This is when it gets bad. On 9th of March 2024, we attended her friend's wedding when she was a bridesmaid, and there was a best man, some guy called Connor. And the week before the wedding, she added him on Facebook. And then she met him at the wedding rehearsal the week before. At the wedding, she was getting really drunk and walking off with him a lot. I was left with our 2 children, so I asked if she would spend some more time with me. This blew up in a big argument with me ending up going home with our youngest child. She stayed at the wedding with her daughter. She's a bit older, okay? We forgot my son's toy car, so we went back. And there I was. I saw her laughing with this Connor guy. And as we went back to the car, she stood outside smoking with him and a group of people. And to my knowledge, she never smoked before. Interesting parallel here to the beginning of your situation. Back in 2018, you had those dates with her. Something was off with her. You broke up, you got back together. Then in the summer of 2018, you took her out, brought her back to her place. You couldn't sleep. As you went back to her place an hour later, knock, 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 there's another boyfriend there. You have 2 boyfriends that she's playing with. You had an urge to go back. In this case, you forgot your son's toy car, and there is God giving you a second chance. Go back, Jimmy, and look at it with your own eyes. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's 2 times now. You've seen what sort of woman she is. So there you go. I mean, she's at a friend's wedding and she's flirting with the best man and she has 2 children with you. Well, 1 child with you. This is sickening, right? Last night, I had a telephone call from a paramedic that she was in an ambulance outside her house, that she got too drunk and fell asleep in the taxi. Again, irresponsible, lack of accountability. She's probably going to blame you, she will. And in the ambulance, I asked where the daughter was. And she said, she's with Connor at this hotel. So we called everybody on her phone and found out that her daughter had gone home with one of her friends' mums, as she was not in a fit state to look after the child, absolutely. On Sunday, I went and picked her up from the hospital, and she said it was my fault she'd gotten drunk because she was upset from our argument, and that nothing happened with the best man Connor at the wedding. How would you impregnate someone like that? I mean, This is beyond me. She was still a bit drunk, but on the Monday she asked me to think about what I wanted. I told her this was the last time I would accept her getting blind drunk, even though it happened 7 times before. But I wanted to work on us and develop our relationship and our family, and that she needed to grow up. She's 30 years old. 30 years old. Growing up does not happen with age. It happens with integrity and responsibility. She's been given plenty and she still doesn't choose to, meaning she lacks integrity. I met the woman of my dreams. She was 19, 24, me. More mature than your woman. It's about values or lack thereof. You have a 30-year-old woman here who's been fucking around, excuse my French, goodness knows how long, with how many men, had another kid out of wedlock with another man, had a second kid out of wedlock with you, getting drunk, cheating, lying, and she's 30 years old. You telling her now isn't going to change anything. It's about her. This is why, for all of you listening, I always say, you don't fix or change or save a woman. You prepare yourself for marriage and you find a good woman who's done the same. End of story. Older people get, and the less changes they've made in their life, the more prideful they are, and the harder it is for them to actually change, unless things really get bad. And your woman, look at it at face value. 30 years old. And that this is what she's doing. Getting drunk. And she has 2 underage children and a man in her life. And she's cheating on you at the same time. Just a W whammy. She's literally putting a hat trick on you. This is terrible. And I know it's tough for you to hear me say this, because obviously you're watching the video, Jimmy. I'm just telling you the honest truth, mate. This is really bad. But naturally, you're in that situation. You obviously wanted to change. It's tough. She needs to grow up, yeah. But will she? She agreed and said that nothing happened with Connor and that she would put everything into making our relationship work. The following week, we were making an effort, and 2 days later, she was back to being distant. And she told me she was going for a drink with one of her girlfriends on a Saturday night. I didn't believe her, as there was something that just didn't seem right. So on Friday morning, I looked on her laptop, because we have the same password since we were building our trust back. Well, you should have access to each other's stuff anyway. You should have access. My girl can go through my phone whenever she wants. I can go through her phone whenever she wants. If I need to Google or check something. There's many times where when we've been out or traveling somewhere, I'll do work on her laptop. She can do any work she needs on my computer, for example, or check anything. There ain't anything to hide. When you commit to someone, you share everything. And the fact that she's only exchanging stuff with you now, I mean... But again, what did you find? That she booked a table for 2 at an expensive restaurant. But she told you she was going out with all her girlfriends, plural, more than 2, so she's lying. So I texted her saying, hey, are you sure I have nothing to worry about on Saturday? Got a really bad vibe. She replied saying, don't worry, I'm going out with my mates. And she gave 4 names. She said, there's nothing to worry about, but it's clear you don't trust me. I am not even friends with Connor. So I replied, okay, so why have you booked a table for 2? She said that I don't trust her. She turned it on me and said that there's no trust left in our relationship and we just can't be together. She replied saying, okay, I am meeting Connor, but it's just as friends. I knew you'd never believe that. I'm sorry I lied to you, but you've gone behind my back and looked at my emails. There's no trust, we just can't go on. Again, this is who she is. Remember what she just told you before? She wants to work on the relationship. She's a liar. I accused her of cheating at the wedding and that she was planning to cheat on me again on Saturday night with this guy. She denied doing anything wrong, and it's all in my head. Later that day, I texted the groom from the wedding, and he told me that she'd asked the best man, Connor, if they could meet up and discuss how they could finish things with me. Apparently she was going to tell me on Sunday night and end things with me, even though I owned the house we live in, so I gave her a month to leave. I offered to pay a deposit for a mortgage or put up a bond for a rental, but she said she was leaving because we were both unhappy in our relationship and there was just no trust anymore. I begged her to stay. I even offered to marry her. Why? Why would you do that? The trash is taking itself out. Realistically, you should be grateful. And this is also going to be hard for you to hear, but you didn't have the balls to walk away from her in 2018 and hold your ground. You didn't have the balls to walk away from her in 2022 when she started texting I love you to different men. Even though she's obviously cheating on you to your face, you still don't have the balls to leave her. She's the one leaving you. You should say that as a God bless you, thank you, goodbye, have fun. Take your son, take custody and live your peaceful life. Find someone better. But instead you're trying to beg this messed up woman back into your life. Why? That's really weak behavior. I begged her to stay, offered to marry her. She said I was just being desperate and it was too far gone. I agree, she's actually being truthful that you were being desperate. Because even she knows a man with self-respect would have just walked away from her. How could she ever respect you? Not that you should want this woman's respect anyway, because she's messed up. But you get what I'm saying. She promised me that there was no other man involved and she needed space to find herself. Oh yeah, of course she does. 1 week later, 23rd of March, so a couple months back now, she sent her best friend a picture of her in bed with Connor asleep in the background saying, oops. She even spent the weekend since we split with him and after I withdrew the offer to put up money for her and a place based on the fact that she'd actually left me for another man, unlike what she had previously said. She changed her Facebook status on Facebook to being in a relationship with him. She has a kid with a different man. She's a kid with you. Now she's going off with him. Tell you what, people reap what they sow, right? Galatians chapter 6 verse 7 in the Bible says that very black and white. You reap what you sow. Her family have met him and there are frequent photos on Facebook of them all together having a good time. But I understand that they are her family, but I really thought a lot about them and I spent a lot of energy with them. This really cut me. Not one of them has reached out to see how I feel, yet a few of my family have messaged her to check that she is okay. What relationship do you have with your family? That is terrible. Sorry to hear that. That is messed up. She messages me all the time asking for things on me or to look after our son so she can go out. I feel bad for your son. I feel bad for her daughter. They're going to grow up screwed up around her. For about 5 weeks, she thought I still might pay for her apartment, even though she was telling me nothing was going on. Despite her taking my son to meet him a week after we split and sleeping with him that first weekend. The same way she slept with you right away. That's who she is. So for at least 4 weeks, these statements of hers have been nothing but lies. Now it's been 8 weeks since the breakup and she's living with her brother and we have 50-50 custody of our son. And now I've just heard she's moving into a rental house with him, unofficially living there with her. They have plans to get engaged by Christmas and have a child in 2025. Meanwhile, this has broken me, left me in pieces and confused about how someone can move on so quickly. We were not happy the last 2 years. Basically, the trust was never fully returned since the last time she cheated, but we were making it work. You can't make it work with a cheater. Then we always slip back to our settled routine. You had a settled routine because, number one, she's not your dream woman. You settled and took her back to save her from a shit life. And you're not her dream man either. She thought, right, he's a cuck. I'll have a kid with him. I'll let him take care of me till I find someone else. And she found an opportunity. She found a guy called Connor, who she obviously really likes, who's obviously just as screwed up as she is in terms of values. Let them both have it. Let them have a messed up life. These are the questions I have in my head, so he has some questions here at the end. Number one, if we had not argued at the wedding, would we still be together? I really can't believe you're asking me this, but no, because sooner or later it would have happened. If it wasn't with Connor, it would have been with another guy she found really attractive, or some other guy who's willing to be with a woman who's willing to cheat on the man she's with. Okay, she would have ended up with a guy sooner or later. Look at her actions. She's always been cheating on you. Number 2, how can you go from being in love with me and trying for a baby to loving someone else and planning to move in with them in less than 12 weeks? Because she was never in love with you. You were just a guy she was having casual sex with. She never wanted to commit to. Whatever screwed up shit happened in 2018, you're the guy she settled for. She was never in love with you. She settled, okay, I guess I'll have a kid with him. I mean, she was never in love with you. Never. This quality of woman can't be in love with a man. She can be in lust with a man, but not in love with him. She doesn't even have enough self-respect or love for herself. She has no integrity, no morals, no standards. She's a degenerate. That's who she's always been. What happened with the previous guy? She had a daughter with him. Did she even care about her daughter or her son? And you? She cares about her own needs. She can't love other people because she's messed up. She's not a good woman. So no, she was never in love with you. So she was always ready to pounce. And she found another guy who was an exit plan. It's not because she fell out of love with you. She was never in love with you to begin with. He says, I don't believe they've known each other more than a week before the wedding. They've probably known each other for more time. But regardless, the chemistry's there and they like each other, they went off their own way. Number 3, is there anything I can do to save this relationship? It was not perfect, but it was real, and it was the only family my son has known. No, this relationship was not real. It was fake as shit. I'm sorry to be the one to break it to you, and I'm swearing on that. I shouldn't be swearing. Excuse my French, but it was fake. She may have tried a little bit. Why not? She mellowed down. She couldn't really change because it's who she is. Made a little bit of an effort, then it was back to settling. And if you're really honest with yourself, you know that's true. So there's nothing you can do to save this relationship. Unless you came to God and she came to God and you got your values right, perhaps. She ain't right with God, mate. She doesn't care, she doesn't love you. And she's off living her life. Take it as a blessing that she's not like a narcissist coming after you to ruin you and you've got ownership of the property. Your best option is to heal, fill in your knowledge gap, take the 50-50 custody, and when your son grows up, he's going to see how bad mum is. And when he becomes of an age, a teenager, age of reason, he can choose to stay with you full time, and you get 100% of your son, and you can have a good father to son relationship. I know every time you look in his eyes, you're going to be reminded of her, but he still deserves a good life, and you can still be a good father to him. You could find a great woman and have a good life, and he can see that. He can have a good stepmom, for example. Because he's going to grow up and he's going to see mum get drunk. He's going to see different men, because Connor's not going to be the last. He's going to see different men coming in and out of mum's life. What life is he going to see when he spends those 50-50 weekends with you? Is he going to see dad happy? Or not? So you have a choice here. Your son can either grow up and look up to you as an example, or he can look up to you as what he never wants to become because he sees your knowledge gap and how you have a screwed up life. You can still redeem yourself for your son. Heal, find a better woman, let it go. Because the woman, this Jessica's terrible. She's obviously going to sell your son a load of lies about you. How bad dad was, dad didn't treat me right. But he will find out the truth sooner or later. And at least when he chooses to come to you, fix your self-esteem. Fix your values. You can't turn back the wheels of time. Your son is a blessing. I know you had him with the wrong woman, but he deserves to have a good life. You can still give him that. Be his hero. Okay? You can have a relationship with your son, but not with this woman. We didn't go on dates. Next question. For at least 2 years and quality time alone together at home had become quite rare due to family commitments. Work and always being so tired. I beat myself up for this as I think I could have put more effort in. Would we have worked out? Again, no. You have a lack of chemistry and compatibility with this woman and she has red flags. Yes, you should always court your woman, romance her, spend quality time, but at the end of the day, a cheat is a cheater. Whether you give her the white picket fence life or you get busy for a few years, people get busy in life. You obviously would have still eventually found time to do things right again. Regardless, doing it right or not, she's always been this way and it would have come out sooner or later. She would have betrayed you either way. Next question. She seemed to have the perfect life now with her new partner. Everything is rosy for them. They're always going out, doing things and enjoying life. While I have to watch and try to pick up the pieces of my broken life. Well, obviously they're lusting after each other, but they obviously have a shallow, superficial relationship because they don't have a deep bond. It's built on lies, it's built on cheating. He obviously knows that she has a kid with you and a kid with a different guy. I don't know about Connor's life. He has kids with different women. If he was with someone, if he's out and about. But one thing that I know for sure is that this Connor is the sort of man who's okay to get involved with a woman who's willing to cheat on the man she's with. He's just as bad as her. God will give you vengeance on that. Their relationship will fall, will have its own problems sooner or later because there's no internal structure. There's no love, there's no truth there. It's all fake. They are far better suited to each other than she and I ever really were. We had nothing in common and we were complete opposites. Whereas Connor could be described as the male version of her. Yeah, you're probably not her type because she settled for you, didn't find you that attractive. She obviously finds him attractive and has strong personality, strong chemistry with him. But in terms of shared values, the only values they share is infidelity, cheating, lying, deceiving people, which ultimately will be turned on each other because it doesn't have a righteous foundation. Don't worry about that. In the early days, she was a nightmare, always accusing me of cheating, even though I never cheated. And she probably did more than I know about. Yet towards the end, she settled down and basically grown up a bit. Now this new man gets the improved Jessica that I worked really hard to help build. Will she give him all the hassle she gave me over the years? Women give hassle to a man they settle for and don't like, don't respect, don't love. If you're her dream man, you get treated well. If you're not, you don't. But in this case, it's iffy because she also lacks integrity. So she can put on a mask that she's happy with Connor and that she really likes him. But ultimately, she knows she can't trust him. Because deep down she knows she's a cheater. She had a relationship with you and he's willing to get involved. She knows what sort of man he is. That's the foundation of their relationship, so it ain't going to last. Yes, chemistry is important, compatibility is important. I talk about that all the time. But regardless, it doesn't matter whether she gives him a hassle or not. I don't think she'll give him much hassle at the beginning because she has to play a good character. But this guy's not going to commit to her. I don't think he'll marry her. He'd have to be really delusional to do so. Then she'll do the same thing to him. But regardless, she's just the wrong woman. She's not suitable for marriage. She has serious issues and the trash is taking itself out, basically. I know it's terrible to say, but your responsibility is to yourself and to your son. That's what I would focus on if I were you. And as I mentioned to you via email, book a call with me. I can help you fill in your knowledge gap, sign you up to relationship mastery, help fix your self-esteem, help fix your standards and your values. And in doing so, that will speed up your healing process and patch yourself up and be on your way. And as you move forward, find a better woman if you want. Or if you choose to be celibate and live alone with your son, do that. It's up to you. That's what I would do if I were you. And for those of you watching, that's the case study. That has been today's video. And as you can see, how you start is how you finish. Don't ever be fooled for those early warning red flags, those early signs that something's off. Trust your gut instinct, because there's a reason for that. And with that said, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Hope you'll have a wonderful day. God bless all of you and your families. And if you are like Jimmy and you'd like to send me a case study, I'll leave my email link down below. And I'll see you all in the next one.